We turn now to oral arguments before the Supreme Court today in an important First Amendment case that looks at whether lawsuits seeking only symbolic damages can go forward after the unconstitutional policy has been changed, or if that change is enough to consider the case moot. Plaintiff Chike Uzuegbunam is seeking to hold Georgia Gwinnet College accountable for having twice violated his right to publicly share his faith while a student there, despite the college's change to its policies a few months after its initial lawsuit was filed. Joining me now on Skype is Kate Anderson, Senior Counsel for Alliance Defending Freedom, which is representing Chike Uzuegbunam in this case. Kate, welcome, and thanks so much for being here. Let's go back for a moment and talk about what your client experienced as a college student there. What exactly happened, and how was he silenced?
Well, Chike wanted to share his religious beliefs with fellow students by passing out literature about the Bible and by having one-on-one conversations with other students. He tried to do this in a public area of campus like he saw other speakers doing in the same kinds of areas, but he was stopped by college officials and told that he had to get advance permission for his speech, and he had to go to one of two tiny zones to speak. He did what they asked, and then he was stopped again, this time by campus police officers who said that because somebody complained about his sharing his faith, he had to stop speaking altogether. The case went forward to the courts, and now the issue is before the Supreme Court, as you said today, asking whether individuals can hold government officials responsible even after they change a policy for the past harm that was done to them. You see, Chike can never go back to campus and speak to those students again, and that's why he needs redress for that injury.
Yeah, and I understand that the school officials argue that since the campus policy was changed, that was enough to declare this case moot. Is that accurate? And why do you think it's important to allow this case to continue?
It's not accurate. Certainly changing the policy is a step. We don't want the college to continue violating other people's rights. But in the meantime, Chike can never go back to that moment. He can't share his faith on campus the way that he wanted to, and that is a concrete harm to his person, and it needs to be redressed. There are plaintiffs like him with these First Amendment type claims. There are also plaintiffs in other cases involving other rights, any constitutional right, where it's hard to prove damages. It's hard to prove a monetary cost, but there still is a harm. And that's why the courts provide a mechanism for these cases to go forward. And you heard the justices talking about that today.
And Kate, I know a wide range of groups with different ideologies. They've all voiced their support in his case. What are the implications here for future First Amendment cases?
Yes, you saw people from various ideological positions that aren't usually in agreement come together in this case and file briefs with the court voicing their support for this idea that all individuals who suffer a constitutional harm should have an ability to hold government officials accountable. And this is important for us to have these First Amendment freedoms in particular, because if we aren't able to hold government officials accountable for violating them, then the rights really don't mean much at all.
And Kate, what message do you think is being sent by asking for nominal damages? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
People have a lot of questions about nominal damages because it's really just $1, but it's an important dollar. We're talking about freedoms that it's hard to put a price tag on. Certainly our constitutional rights aren't worth $1, but they're worth something and something important. And so the courts have set out this $1 as a symbol, as a way of saying you deserve something. You should be paid something. These rights are important. And we're going to make government officials do something affirmative to recognize that those rights are valuable. Certainly it's a small amount, but it's an important amount.
And Kate, before we let you go, where do things stand right now, and where do you go from here?
Well, the case was argued this morning before the U.S. Supreme Court. We heard wonderful questions from the justices, recognizing how important these principles are to protect all of our freedoms. But the case has now been submitted to the court fully, and we will be awaiting a decision, which may take until the end of the term, which ends in June.
Okay, and we'll be watching. Thank you so much, Kate. Kate Anderson, Senior Counsel for Alliance Defending Freedom. Thank you again.
Thank you.